Over the last few episodes, you've seen us take this Mercedes Sprinter from an empty panel van to a camper van that's finally ready for furniture. This is the stage where a lot of self-builds go wrong, because once the units go in, you're locking in the layout, the access, and how solid the van feels day to day. So in this episode, while we build the furniture in this van, we're going to call out the common mistakes people make, the things that are easy to miss now, and an absolute nightmare to fix later. To bring you back up to speed, we've got the internal panelling in and started turning the shell into something that actually feels finished. Then we fitted the solar panel onto the pop top so we can keep the system topped up off-grid. After that, it was a big milestone, getting the pop top fitted onto the van. We then installed the canopy so the pop top is finally functional and not just bolted on. Now the foundation stage is done and the pop top is on, it's time to move inside and start the furniture, and show you the mistakes to avoid before you lock anything in place.
There's a lot of work's going into the vans already, but a lot of the work that we've put in you can't really see. It goes into the panel work, and it's in between the outer and inner layer of the van, and essentially it's very important work, but it doesn't change what you see in the vehicle. You're still stepping into an empty space. It's only once you put the furniture in it starts to feel like a camper. So I've designed the van on this CAD software. This is the whole build, so we can see exactly what's going to go into it. We can check out the space, we can make sure everything's going to fit and everything's going to work. You can make 100 mistakes on this and change them as you go. I'll work on this for a couple of hours and change hundreds of different things on it. That way when it comes to assembling the van, there's a lot less mistakes, there's a lot less to work out, and there's a lot less second reworking. So once we have this CAD drawing finalised, we can then take each of these individual components. Now each flat plane that you can see here is broken down into an individual component. So we can select individual pieces, and what I do is I lay it out onto a flat bed. This allows me to then work out with everything on the same plane how many sheets of material I'm going to use. Each one of these is an 8x4 sheet of furniture board. Now these sheets come back with the goods from the CNC machine, and these have the layout, where everything's been positioned. They also show you the little tabs that hold everything in place. Now these tabs look like this when they come off the CNC machine. This is how the pieces are joined together, and it stops them from floating around on the CNC bed. This is what holds it all together and stops pieces getting damaged. They break off very easily. One of the mistakes, if you break them out of the CNC machine, is you can then chip the surface, especially on gloss. The guys that have broken this out, they've actually taken a chip off this one. And so it's then part of the job when you're looking about. I then go back to my CNC file, I find this piece, I work out whether that's going to be seen or whether it's going to be inside an aluminium extrusion. I check that there's a good face that can be used, and then I'll mark on it, this face good, so that the guys know when they're working, that piece is not to be seen. It's really important at this stage to get these things right. If you carry on regardless and think, we'll sort that later, you can build it into your product, you can end up with your overhead cupboards looking absolutely great, apart from the one chip. Now we're edging these with ABS plastic. It's about 1 millimeter thick, and this is actually wider than the wood material we're putting this onto. So you can see we've done some edging on here. So when this goes on, it's about 19 mil, it's a 15 mil board. So we're going to trim off 2 mil either side. This gets hot glued onto each piece of wood. So the guys have trimmed this, and when they come off the CNC machine as well, because it's a round router bit in the CNC machine, it can't go into internal corners. You can see on these two that this one has been squared and this one hasn't, so this one's still to be finished. Once they're finished, they'll then be returned onto the shelves, and because we've got 2 vehicles on the go, we've split the shelves into each individual customer so we know whose parts are whose. We've got the name of the customer and the vehicle it's going into written on the side, so we can then come along and see these pieces have been done. These pieces that are still marked with an E on the edge still need to be edged. Once every part is finished, we can then start assembly. Now, the shower unit is always the first piece of furniture that we build because it sits right in the middle of the van, and it's also the only piece that goes from floor to ceiling height. So it's really important that fits really nicely. It's also the piece that anchors everything. You can locate where your seating can go based on your shower unit. You can locate where your bed can go based on that. But your shower unit is always the piece that goes in first, especially if you have a chemical toilet, which is going to go into a cartridge, because that's going to need to leave through the side of the van, and that space is going to be dictated by the pillars inside the van, the structure that you can't move. So once we get that right, everything else then has tolerances that you can adjust to from there. So yeah, come along and we'll show you how we get this build going.
At the beginning of a furniture build, things progress slowly. It's all in the finish. The devil really is in the details. It's important to spend the time getting this bit right. The more time you spend now at this early stage, the quicker work can progress down the line. The guys are using a mobile hot glue edge bander to edge band each piece, making sure each edge is flat and smooth. All glue marks are then removed and each rounded corner is filled to a crisp square finish. We use a handheld edger because the complexity of a lot of components doesn't allow for the use of a larger industrial machine. Doing things by hand offers a different level of control. Doing it this way also forces you to slow down and actually read the components in front of you. Every panel might be cut from the same sheet, but none of them are truly identical once you start adding cutouts, returns, and edges that will be on show. This is where you can catch the small things that can ruin a build later. A chipped corner that needs squaring up, a slightly proud banding that will snag, and a glue line that will stand out under lighting. They prep some off-cut aluminium corners that will be used to hold the units in place for a dry fit later. We don't want any sharp edges scratching the gloss finish of our furniture board. As we finish each component, another takes its place until we reach the point of assembly. It's a steady rhythm, prep, finish, stack, and slowly that pile of flat parts start to feel less like a kit and more like furniture. Only now do we start to feel the joy of progression, as each individual part married to another through hidden pocket hole screws. You're rewarded for the previous time spent labouring on accuracy when the piece of the jigsaw fits perfectly together. The location of each fixing point has been pre-thought out in the early stages of design. We don't wish to see any fixings once the unit is installed. We stay clear of traditional plastic corner blocks during assembly as they tend to crack and lose strength over time, resulting in movement and squeaks in the furniture. The clamps allow you to position each piece under pressure, exactly where you want it to stay while you hold it in with fixings. This surround will be the housing for our bathroom basin. It has extra screws to absorb the weight of the basin when it's full of water. This is the point where most people get excited and start rushing, because assembly feels like progress. But this is also where the common mistakes sneak in. The first one is building perfectly square furniture for a van that isn't square. A Sprinter might look straight from the outside, but inside the walls taper, the floor can rise and fall, and nothing is truly 90 degrees. So as we assemble, we're not just thinking about how it looks on the bench, we're thinking about how it's going to sit against the van, how it's going to meet the wall, and how it's going to behave when the vehicle's moving. Another big mistake is forgetting service access. It's easy to build a beautiful unit that covers everything, but if you can't reach a connection, a pump, a fuse, or a shut-off point later, you've created a future problem. So while these units go together, we're already thinking ahead to what needs to be reachable once it's installed. It's now time to take it next door and test fit it in the van. You'll notice our bathroom unit doesn't quite reach the ceiling height. We leave it short so we can fit a shadow gap above. We'll fit an LED strip around this lip to illuminate the ceiling. That shadow gap isn't just a nice visual trick either. It gives us breathing room during install. If the ceiling line isn't perfectly straight, the gap hides it, and the unit still looks intentional rather than forced into place. It also stops the furniture from feeling like it's pressing up against the roof, which can cause rubbing, marking, and creaks over time as the van flexes. Lighting is also where a lot of self-builds miss a chance to level up the finish. A single harsh light in the middle of the ceiling makes everything feel flat, but a soft LED from above lifts the whole space. It makes the ceiling feel higher, and it turns the bathroom area into something that feels designed, not just assembled.
So I've just heard that the boys have done the first initial fitting of the shower, so we're going to step in and have a look. They brought a small problem up to my attention that's going to need resolving, and yeah, it is an issue. So the shower's been given its first dry fit, as it's the linchpin of the whole conversion. It's the only bit that goes from the floor to the ceiling, so we're going to build off of that. But we've got it in position, it's fitting really nicely, so yeah, we're happy with the position of that. The only problem that's brought up is the position with the flooring. Now you might be wondering why we have this area of the floor that's not got the LVT down when the rest of the van does, and the reason for that is that we're going to be fitting black rubber flooring into this area because it's going to be in the garage. We're having the LVT underneath this part here because this has got his unit with all his pump and his boiler and everything in it, and then this area here is going to be the section that you're going to see when you're opening up the back doors. Now I had given Stu a measurement for where the bulkhead between the garage and the kitchen galley is going to be. I've possibly got that wrong, and so Stu stopped the LVT here, so we now have this line here. But putting the unit in place has shown us that it's quite obviously in the wrong area, because these are our two vents that should be this side of the bulkhead, and instead they're sitting this side and blowing into the garage just now. So I think what we're probably going to have to do is remove 1, 2, 3 tiles from the LVT and replace them. It's quite an easy thing to fix. But that's the beauty of LVT, we find, is that if there is an issue, if any of the bits get damaged or there has been an error like this, you can just whip up those individual pieces rather than having to relay or recut the whole thing. A lot of people ask us why we have so many holes in the furniture like this. So the honeycomb that you can see in the back, that's purely for weight. This is a part of the van that you're never going to see unless you're going in to service something, and so there's no point in having all that extra weight in the wood, so we cut it out. So we take some of the weight out of the areas that don't need to be structural, they won't have any screws going into them. These areas here, this is purely just for weight as well. This is a large area of wood that wasn't needed. All we needed to have was the downwards force to carry the weight above, and this section here will have a door put into it, and it will be held in with a couple of locators at the side there. What this is going to allow us to do is to remove the door and then go in for fitting, because right above this we've got a bathroom basin, and so we're going to have all the plumbing hanging down from here. We're going to have our push fits coming in. We've also got a shower at the back of here as well. So all our plumbing's in there, and we want to be able to A, get in to easily install it, but B, you want to be able to service it. So when you've winterized your van and then you've come back after the winter to use it in the spring, you want to turn on your water pump full of water. You want to get the water flowing, and then you want to go around and check all your push fits, all your joins, so you're not going to have any problems later on. You want to be able to see them visually and see if there's any leaks, if there's any water pulling anywhere. Otherwise, if you had just blanked this off, which so many people do, you can't see anything, you can't see any of your fittings. The first sign you're going to get is water coming out from underneath one of your cupboards, and then you're not going to have a clue where that is. You're going to have to start stripping units out, undoing everything, and that's just a bit of a problem that you don't want to have. So this unit is going to come in and out the van a number of times before it's in its final position. The big thing that we're waiting for is the shower tray to arrive, and that's going to dictate where everything else goes. In the meantime, we've got the shower, the toilet door arriving. So the toilet door gives you access through the side of the van into the cassette toilet. Now, a cassette toilet or a chemical toilet is basically everything that goes into the toilet goes into a plastic container underneath that's full of chemical. That then needs to be emptied, and so to do that we open up a service hatch on the side of the van where it can then be taken out. So that involves cutting a hole in the side of the van, then we're going to add a door on the side with a lock, and to do that you can either fit these upwards or you can fit them sideways. We're going to fit this one sideways just so that it doesn't go above this swage line on the van here. But the van is shaped the side here. Now the door that's coming, it doesn't have a center here, it's just the outer frame, so you need to put the center frame in. And the reason they do that is because it allows you to use a panel the same color as the side of the van, and it helps it kind of blend into the van itself. So what we've done with that is we've saved the piece of metal that was cut out of the side of the van from this window aperture. We've got it sitting at the side here, and because that's a nice flat piece of metal, we've saved that, kept it nice and clean. We're going to use that within our door, our service door here, and it's going to blend into the side of the van here. You can't use the piece of metal you cut out the side because it's shaped. the door for the toilet is not shaped, so it needs to be a flat piece. So if you are adding a toilet like this, it's really worthwhile keeping a piece like this, and it saves you from having to fabricate something later on in the build.
That's the furniture build underway, and this is where rushing creates problems you'll be living with later. Layouts, access, strength and noise. It all gets locked in from here. Next episode, we'll be starting installing these units properly and making sure everything fits clean, stays quiet, and is still serviceable down the line. If this helped, subscribe for the next episode and drop a comment with the biggest self-build mistakes you've seen. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.